Hello, everyone. We continue discussing Disney's Snow White movie, and since the second week of its release is already behind us, we can now draw some interim conclusions. Jumping ahead, I'll say that just yesterday, the entire English speaking press published reports on Snow White's catastrophic 66% box office drop. They also pointed out that the fairly average action movie The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham, has surpassed Disney's multi-million dollar blockbuster. But is that really the case? Where did the biggest global media outlets go wrong? How close is Snow White to being crowned the worst movie of all time? And what hidden production nightmares are now coming to light? We'll cover all of this and much more in just a few seconds, so make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and give us a like in advance. Now let's dive in. Let's start with the money because, in the context of Disney's staggering investments, it's an absolutely crucial topic. Last week, Snow White grossed $85 million worldwide. Initially, we were told it made $87 million, but that figure was later revised. Naturally, with such a disappointing opening, it's important to see how the movie performed in its second week and how much its earnings declined. And here's where things get interesting. The global press, including major outlets, erupted with reports that Snow White had suffered a disastrous box office drop in the domestic market, US and Canada, collecting only $14 million in its second weekend. According to them, the movie's revenue plummeted by 66% compared to the first weekend, a catastrophic figure. Moreover, these reports also claimed that Jason Statham's new movie, The Beekeeper, had already overtaken Snow White at the domestic box office. This news became a sensation for several reasons. One, when a $40 million budget movie outperforms a nearly $300 million Disney blockbuster, it sparks intense reactions. Two, just last week, Rachel Zegler was bragging on Instagram that Snow White was the #1 movie in the world, which caused a backlash. Now, it seems like the film has lost that title. Three, Disney itself was confident that no other movie would top the box office until Warner Brothers released Minecraft in early April. Naturally, the media jumped on the Snow White disaster story. But in reality, the situation was more complex. The press based their headlines on numbers from Sunday morning, which were incomplete. By Monday, the data was updated, and the picture changed. Snow White's domestic box office drop was not 66%, but 48%, earning about $24 million. It made another $33 million internationally, bringing its worldwide total to $143 million. While this still means Snow White is unlikely to break even, its overall second week drop of about one-third isn't as disastrous as initially reported. Disney, of course, is now trying to spin this as a victory. However, once Minecraft is released this weekend, the situation will likely change again. Currently, Snow White is desperately trying to reach its break-even point, which is somewhere around $600 to $700 million. While the box office struggles are bad, the film's audience ratings are even worse. On the world's largest review aggregator, IMDb, Snow White is on track to become the worst-rated movie of all time. When it first premiered, its IMDb score dropped so fast that the site temporarily hid its audience rating. The score later reappeared, hovering around 2.0 last week, but after just a few more days, things got even worse. As of the making of this video, Snow White has a humiliating 1.6 out of 10 rating based on nearly 270,000 user reviews. No Disney remake has ever been rated this poorly. In fact, whatever terrible movie you can think of, chances are its IMDb score is still higher than Snow White's. This isn't just speculation. Snow White is already in IMDb's list of the 10 worst movies of all time. Here's the ranking of the lowest rated films, starting from 1.2 out of 10. Right now, Snow White sits at the 8th worst spot between Super Babies. Baby Geniuses 2, 1.5 out of 10, and Blonde and Blonder, 1.7 out of 10. And the worst part? The score is still dropping. In just 1 week, it fell by 0.6 points, and there's no sign of it stabilizing. At this rate, Snow White could soon claim the title of the worst movie ever made. Disney clearly didn't expect this, but in hindsight, they should have, especially considering the latest behind-the-scenes revelations. For example, Variety reports that after Rachel Zegler included the political slogan "Free Palestine" in the film's marketing campaign, Disney executives were horrified. CEO Bob Iger immediately expressed his dissatisfaction, and producer Mark Platt even flew to New York to personally talk to Zegler. Moreover, after this incident, Gal Gadot, being Israeli, started receiving mass threats, forcing Disney to hire additional security for her and possibly her family. Yet this didn't seem to faze Rachel Zegler, as just 3 months later she found herself in an even bigger scandal by openly opposing Trump and his supporters. This created even more behind the scenes drama for Snow White, leading to a confrontation with the producer, after which Disney assigned a social media expert to approve all of Ziegler's posts until the movie's premiere. Meanwhile, external industry observers are in shock at how Disney allowed this to happen. Any publicity is good publicity, but in Snow White's case, they were completely wrong, said Jeff Bach, a box office analyst at Exhibitor Relations. Too many negative controversies surrounded this film for years. Another insider added, she didn't understand the consequences of her actions for the film, for Gal Gadot, or for anyone else. A top Hollywood agent stated, the moment she first opened her mouth, Disney should have shut this down immediately. Instead, they did nothing, and this is the result. BBC also reported that Jonah Platt, son of Snow White's producer Mark Platt, recently lashed out at Zegler in a furious social media post, though it was later deleted. However, as we all know, once something is on the internet, it never truly disappears. He wrote, Zegler injected her personal political beliefs into the film's marketing. Her actions clearly hurt Snow White's box office performance. Meanwhile, City AM editor Victoria Luxford stated that Rachel Zegler should never have criticized the original Snow White film from 1937. Criticizing the original movie never leads to anything good. These films are marketed through nostalgia to make people feel the same way they did when they first watched the classic. So speaking negatively about it just seems bizarre. Film critic Connor Riley added, ultimately, Ziegler became the lightning rod for controversy, not just because of her actions, but because Snow White ended up at the crossroads of Hollywood's creative stagnation, racial politics, international conflicts, and America's deep ideological divide. In short, everyone now agrees that this film was mostly doomed by its lead actress and Disney's utterly incompetent handling of both the production and the PR disaster behind the scenes. As a result, the world has been given one of the worst movies ever made. Though, strangely, it is still making money, perhaps because, after so much criticism, people are now simply curious to see how bad it truly is. So, Disney, I'll be expecting a suitcase full of cash from you any day now. But seriously, that's all for today. Leave your comments, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.